As China is now in a new phase of COVID response, the hustle and bustle is returning to the world's second largest economy.
And according to China's National Health Commission, COVID-19 cases are at a low level in the country, with numbers nationwide gradually decreasing.
For the past 3 years, China has been pursuing a delicate balance of fostering economic activity and maintaining public health. So, what's it like to be in China over the past 3 years, and what's the life like now after the optimization of the epidemic response? My colleagues and I have interviewed several foreign expats who have lived in China over the past 3 years to get their thoughts on life amid the epidemic.
My name is Mark Levine. I originally come from the United States of America, but I came to China in 2005. I have been almost entirely in Beijing. I kept teaching during COVID, but when COVID first hit, that was the first time I had ever taught online.
I've been living in China for a very long time, but what this past 3 years brought was a lot of changes for us in this center. We have to change our strategies. A lot of Chinese scientists and Mexican scientists have been doing a lot of work together online. So it didn't develop as fast as we had hoped, but we didn't stop.
I've been living in Shanghai, China for almost 17 years. The past 3 years was an experience that is something that has changed everybody's life, was emotionally, economically, but to be true with you, it has been very safe. It has been very safe here, in China.
I've been in Wuhan for, in total, 12 years, but especially during the last 3.5 years during the pandemic situation time, I've remained in China, in Wuhan, the entire time. If we look at Wuhan, I think it was very beneficial to try to slow down the spread. But I think it was important that step was taken. I made the decision when the pandemic first happened in 2020 to stay here because I thought this was the safest place for me to be, and that hasn't really changed.
It saved China from a lot of high death toll at the beginning. This has been very much positive and in the interest of the public and the whole world.
And I looked at what was going on around the country and around the world, and I was very pleased with how it was being handled in China. And China is not afraid to deal with challenges, and Chinese people are not afraid to deal with challenges. There's 1.4 billion people here. It's a very complicated thing to be able to get everybody to move in the same direction.
It's going to be down in history books, in epidemiology books, because I think China has the lowest mortality in the whole world. It was contained in the first wave. So I think the decision by China of just focusing on health, it was the only rational decision to make.
If we look back at the very beginning of 2020 and then through 2021 and early parts of 2022, I think there was an understanding that there was a necessity, like it was important to continue with the strict measures to make sure that society was safe, that the people that were living throughout the different parts of our country were able to maintain some degree of normal life, but at the same time have some measures to make sure that everyone was safe. I do appreciate policies that were in place to protect.
Measures that the government have taken, it's extraordinary, out of the way to help the people and the public.
By the time they relaxed them, most of us already had 2-3 shots of the vaccine. Many of us got a little bit of infection or some symptoms, but we can see that in a month it peaked and it went down, so it was basically over. Our lives are normal now.
I think a lot of people were trying to figure out how are we going to move forward. I think it's a good opportunity now that we're able to, in some ways, move back to what life was like before the pandemic as best as we can.
I think it's going to be very positive because, of course, China is a very big player, and we will see that in the years to come. We should be expecting more and more innovation coming from China and, of course, impacting the rest of the world.